Hi everybody, welcome to our last week together. Can everybody see the slides? Make sure I've got the right things shared. Okay, so this is our last week together for the assignment writing. I'm running a catch up next week for the exam prep seminar for the when we had cat vet incident, which cancelled one of the sessions. We do have a number of seminars starting next week. So we've already signed up for those. It's really good. That helps us get through the summer slowdown. And they'll be run similar to this. So this will be fairly relaxed last week. So who has actually put some of their stuff into practice for their assignments? Let me know. Gonna make your life easier. No, change doesn't happen overnight. If you're old like me, stuck in your ways. Change takes time. And change takes consistent results. So if you, that's okay, assignments will always be stressful. But hopefully you can use some of these techniques and what we've done to make your life a little bit easier. I'm not expecting everyone to just change what they do, because not everything that I say will work for every single person. Anybody tried something I've said and it made it harder? Or it didn't work as well as what you were doing? No, that's okay. Sometimes not everything works for everyone. So one of the final things I wanted to talk about was Turnitin. Has anybody used it? Some of the grade 10s and seniors should have used it by now. Did anybody actually understand what you're looking at when you get the results? So, an example. So does anyone have any idea of what Turnitin does before I go explain it? So Maddie says how much copyright there is. It is a similarity checker. It's designed to tell your teachers. So every single thing that's on the internet right now is in the Turnitin databases. Every assignment that has ever been handed in through Turnitin, this will be checked against. So if your assignment is too similar to something that's been handed in before, it will flag up. Anyone ever, feel free to be honest, shared an assignment with their friend or let their friend read their assignment? Anyone ever read someone else's assignment? Used to do it all the time. The problem with this is you write things that are very similar to someone else. And Turnitin, it's not necessarily looking for you having directly copied and pasted something. It will pick that up, but it's looking, have you ever looked at an example assignment on the internet and then written your report or your assignment? Turnitin is looking to catch you out on whether or not you have copied someone's work a little too closely. There's a very fine line between taking inspiration and copying. Turnitin gives you a percentage similarity. So how much of your assignment is similar to what is already out there on this topic? Does everyone know about those websites you can go to and you can pay them hundreds of dollars and they'll write you an essay? Most of the time, you're paying someone to copy and paste stuff that's already been handed in. The amount of times we would get students at the university, they would pay someone else to write their assignment for them. But that person wouldn't write a whole new assignment. They would just rejig something they'd already done. Turnitin can pick up on whether something has been written in a very similar way to something else. It picks up, as you can see here, it will pick up on if something has been directly copied and pasted. But this is why our referencing is important. Because if Turnitin has picked this up, you see quotation marks, you see a citation, all good. If you had just copied and pasted this and put it in your report, you would likely fail the entire assignment. And Turnitin would pick that up. But normally, and whoever's used it, did you get to upload a practice one first? So if you hand in a practice assignment or a draft, not a practice assignment is a stupid term to use, sorry, but a draft. So it will then give you a score, and if your score is above about 40%, then questions start being asked. Why is it so similar to everything else that's out there? Because you've probably just gone and, like I said, there's a difference between taking inspiration and copying someone else's work. Turnitin is not designed to catch you out for not referencing or using someone else's work. It can't do that. All it can do is check, have you copied and pasted, and have you just copied someone else's work and changed it by a little bit? Yeah, so if something is too low, that's also a bit of a flag. But it's not really something you look at. And when you're reading through, you can very much tell if something has been copied or taken inspiration from. If you write an assignment and it's 0% similar to anything that's been handed in, including all of your classmates, do you think that's a problem? Do you think that maybe you're a little bit off target from where you need to be? So it can be a really good tool because what you'll find is when you hand in an assignment that 10,000 other people have handed in that year, it'll pick up that all the headings are the same, the references are the same, a lot of the words are going to be the same. But if you hand in an assignment and you get 1% matching, you've done something seriously wrong. So remember how I said there's a big difference between taking inspiration and copying? Sometimes Turnitin just picks up common phrases. That's fine. But if you've taken so what's the percentage you need to change something to make it your own work? Anyone know that they used to say? They used to say 10%. If you change something by 10%, someone won't notice it, but Turnitin will. So it will pick up if you have used someone else's work, but kept the phrasing and just changed a few of the words. Again, that's okay as long as you reference. If you don't reference, then that's against academic integrity rules. If you've referenced a book that's a hard copy, sometimes textbooks, junior textbooks aren't in Turnitin or using a hard copied version, then sometimes Turnitin won't pick it up. So it'll look like you've got a really high score, but you haven't. And you'll see a lot of this. So that's okay because it's a direct quote. It's supposed to be the same. Again, quotes. And you get a report at the bottom. So this is not what you want. You don't want to have, that just looks like someone has changed a few words of someone else's work and plonked it in their report. This whole paragraph here would probably be found somewhere else on the internet, and it's only had a few words changed. So do you see how Turnitin can catch you out by being dishonest? And people freak out because they get a 40% matching score. But if you haven't copied anything, then you shouldn't have to worry, should you? This whole paragraph here, if I was marking it, I would be searching for something on the internet that this would probably tell you where it came from. You would click on, the teacher would click on that link that it gave them, and that would be there almost word for word, just changed around a little bit. And most of your matching score will come from your bibliography because those references have been used before. You see, if you've got a really long bibliography or reference list, you can have a 50% matching. Basically, my point is, you can see that pretty much everything is highlighted here. So you get your little report. So 15% similarity index tells you that 15% of what you have written is found elsewhere. But it doesn't mean much. You can have a 10% similarity score and have plagiarized an entire paragraph. But I guess my point is, if you get a really high score, but you know you haven't copied anything, then it doesn't really matter, does it? As long as you have been honest, you have paraphrased correctly, then you shouldn't need to worry about your Turnitin score. Because it's largely irrelevant. As long as you haven't copied from another source. Everybody freaks out, but you shouldn't need. So, what products or subscriptions do you guys use to make your life easier when you're doing your assignments? Let's have a little pool of information here. So, like, or if you've got cloud storage, Microsoft Word, Google Documents, what do you guys use? In schools, you use OneNote. So Microsoft Word. What's the biggest problem with Microsoft Word? Libby uses OneNote. So, has anybody used Grammarly before? Grammarly is amazing. It will tell you as you're writing, doesn't matter what you're writing, emails, assignments, Facebook posts, although I don't use on Facebook. It will tell you how best to do it. And why is this important in our writing or doing assignments? Is grammar a mainstay of academic writing? So, if you're writing an assignment and it does not have if you don't write something with the correct grammar, you look silly, to put it bluntly. I went through Cite This for Me a few weeks ago, and it produces all of your references for you. Anybody jumped onto citethisforme.com? How to play around? So, Kelly's been using it for years. It is, my father thinks it will save him the most amount of time out of all of the programs. You just have to be careful because when you do use it, it sometimes doesn't produce perfect references, so you do have to manually check, but it saves you loads of time. So Dropbox and OneNote, you've got to use these. I would say these are probably a little bit outdated. OneNote, not so much. OneNote's quite good. But Dropbox is probably a little bit outdated now. Now I'm showing my age here. Anyone use Google Drive? I would be lost without Google Drive. Google Drive, Google Documents. So you can work on all of your documents and have them constantly being saved into the cloud. You can share those documents with other people. Who's done a group assignment and you've all had to try and send in your work and mishmash it together? So Google Drive and Google Documents, you can invite certain people to edit the document and you can all be working on the assignment and you can all see who's working on what. Who's done a group assignment where one of the group members has said they've got their work done, but when it came to it, they hadn't done anything. About 1 billion times at university. Every semester, probably at university. So this allows you to see what everyone has got done in real time. And you can just drag and drop all of your files, folders, everything that's on your desktop straight into your Google Drive. And it just connects to your Gmail account if you've got one. That was supposed to be after the Turnitin. So if you get a really high percentage, when should you worry? Should you worry if you haven't plagiarized? You haven't copied something? Exactly. Big fat no. You should not worry. If you get a really high score, you should go through and check. Most of the time, it's because what you've done is on the right track. You've used the same quotes as other people, you've used the same headings, you've used the same references as your classmates. It will quite literally tell you where it's been matched to. If you've got 60% and you haven't plagiarized, then you need to have a look through it and just make sure you haven't accidentally plagiarized. So you can copy up to a certain point with the percentages. Under 25% is green. So you could copy 24% of someone else's assignment and Turnitin will still say it's fine because it's looking at the overall similarity. But if you've just copied that from your friend, your teacher will obviously see that it's matched to an assignment handed in by your classmate. But on Turnitin, it will say you're fine, the percentage-wise. Basically, do the right thing and you don't have to worry. It's as simple as that. So, what should I do if I get a really high matching score? If you've done nothing wrong, contact your teacher and ask them. Hey, can you have a look at this for me? I don't know why I've got a really high score. I haven't copied anything. Just be honest with them. Most of the time, they don't care. Unless it's something obscenely high. So similarity is different to plagiarism. If something you've written is similar to someone else, but it's not directly copied, or it's different enough, that is okay. If you've copied and pasted something, that is not okay. If you've copied and pasted, when is it okay to copy and paste something? Well, and then what do you have to do so that it's ensured that you don't get done for plagiarism? So Kelly says quote inside. And this is why the percentage is really not whatever. It is very much, because if you've got lots of big, good quotes in your report, you're going to have a really high matching score. Because Turnitin is going to pick it up that it's exactly the same as this website or this journal article or this book. So the percentage of your report that is similar is going to be really high. But you shouldn't have anything to worry about as long as you've quoted and referenced. Okay. So hit me with, what should your final draft be? Now you've done your final draft, your teacher's giving you feedback, you've put it into Turnitin. So Anna and Owen have said edited and ready for submission. And this is why it's really good to have your draft the day before it's due. Put it to the back of your mind until the next day. Then go through it again. Then make any change you need to, and then hand it in. There's nothing wrong with handing it in an hour before it's due, even if you finish it the day before. Because the longer the distance you give, and what you've all heard me rant over the last couple of days, last couple of weeks, but our final draft should be the second, at least the second, if not the third iteration of your assignment. So the first draft is the one you hand to the teacher. it should almost be what you think is almost ready to hand in. The second draft is your teacher's giving you back the feedback, you've implemented it, and then we start to proofread and we start to edit based on the teacher's feedback. Then you give it to someone else to read, not one of your classmates, parents, someone you work with, someone that you know, sibling, whatever. Then you've got it back, you hand in the turn it in, you make sure nothing matches too much, though you shouldn't have to worry. Then you hand it in. There's no prizes for handing it in as early as possible. Anyone here a really early hand-inner? I used to leave it to the last minute to hand it in, not to finish it, but because how many times have we handed an assignment, gone home, or handed an assignment a day early, gone home, read through it, and then gone, OMG, I missed this, or this is wrong. There is a flaw in my Genius plan though, because teachers don't care if you have technical issues. That's not their problem. Your technical issues are not the teacher's problem. So if you have technical issues on the last day, sorry, you are all out of luck. Okay, so if we have 6 weeks to do, how long do you normally get to do an assignment, roughly? From time you get the task sheet to time it's due? 4 to 6 weeks? So 4 to 6 weeks. So let's work on 5. Somewhere in the middle. When do you think your first draft should be ready? Izzy's keen. She said week 1 to 2. I think in the first week, you're still probably learning the content required to answer. I would, by the end of the second week, have a scaffold and a plan and loads of research done. Halfway through the third week, that's your first draft. To the teacher, you should have your draft done at the end of 2 weeks. You give your draft to your teacher in week 3. Teacher gives you feedback. By the end of week 3, and then you want the entire week 4 to implement the teacher's feedback, to proofread, to edit, and then the day before it's due, you switch off. Does that seem like a reasonable? So 4 weeks. First week is doing all the research. Second week, you have a decent draft, a really good draft to hand to your teacher. maybe even the beginning of week 3 or the 3rd week. Halfway through, you get your feedback back. You then have all the feedback implemented by the end of week 3, and week 4 is for editing, proofreading, getting someone else to read it, putting it aside for a day, coming back to it, then handing it in. So I've got 5 final tips for you. Don't just rely on one source or one kind of source. Websites, Wikipedia, great for learning information. Not so great for finding data, because they are secondary sources. We want to find the data from the primary source, from the horse's mouth, so to speak. We don't want to be quoting numbers from a secondary source. Numbers should always come from a primary source. Information, great, they can come from the secondary source. If you're taking information from a study, you should quote and reference the study itself, not someone else talking about the study. Referencing. We're about to start an academic writing seminar where we will do 3 weeks of referencing. Every little nitty gritty, all 3 major styles, 2 major styles. How to put together your bibliography, how to put together your reference list, how to make sure you're using varied sources. Because it is anywhere up to 15% of your mark. And it is a very easy 15% to get. You do the referencing properly, you set it out the way they ask, you use the right font and spacing, you are 20% of the way there. And if you're not, then you're just throwing away easy marks. So reference, reference, reference. But don't go over the board. Over the top, overboard, whatever you want to say. So make a plan. Failing to plan is planning to fail. I probably take it to the extreme. I like to plan the whole day out, hour by hour, with my timetable. But just make, so you've got 4 weeks. After the first week, I want to have this done. End of week 2, I want this done. End of week 3, and then I'm going to put the assignment aside on Wednesday of week 4. I'm going to come back to it on Friday morning or Thursday night, and then I'm going to finish it and hand it in with a fresh mind. It's all about just coming back to it after some time away with a fresh mind and a fresh way of thinking about it. But you can't do that if you don't plan. If you don't think about it for 3.5 weeks, then you're probably not really going to do particularly well. So, but there is another way. Plan, 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 or just write everything you know about the topic, everything you've read, and then put that together into something. Then you want to do this, and you want to just start writing and just go a little bit mad with the typing, get loads of words, and then put it together. So 2 different styles of thinking, pick one. Plan everything out meticulously, work through it. Other option is just write as much as you can, and then you can worry about putting it together. How? So don't repeat yourself in your assignments. You see a paragraph and it's got the same words 6 different times. And it looks terrible. Microsoft Word has a thesaurus. You can use a synonym generator on Google. Whatever you have to do to get rid of this. But do not repeat yourself using the same words. You can write the same stuff, just write it differently. Edit and proofread. Everybody heard me ranting the last few weeks. So editing is making sure you've answered the assignment question adequately. Get someone else to read it. Say, this is the question. Did you find the answer to my question in my report? If the answer is no, start again. Proofreading is checking your spelling and grammar. Again, print it out, red pen. Not very environmentally friendly, I know, but get someone else to read it. Get someone that you know that, I don't know, went to uni or they're smart. Get them to read through it. Make sure it makes sense. You guys have been an amazing group. I feel like we've all learned a lot. You've listened to me rant for the last 10 weeks. But I only rant and ramble about stuff is because I want you guys to do well. I struggled through school. I really did. I hated it every second. Until I got to uni and could figure things out for myself. And just about finding your way through. And a lot of the time, that's not the way everyone else does it. So I hope that I gave everybody a different way of looking at things that will help you guys, improve. Or even if it's not improvement, if it just makes your life easier, then it's all been worth it. Yeah, so I hope everyone's taken something away, whether it be a different way of looking at things, whether it be just, it's made you think about the way you do things. And over time, you will improve. There's no way to, you're not just going to instantly change bad habits. That just doesn't happen. But it's about recognizing those bad habits and seeing the impact. It might take 6 months, it might take a year. But once you see the impact and you see that there's a different way that's easier, the bad habits tend to disappear pretty quickly. So we have an academic writing seminar starting next week. It goes through the holidays, helps support us through the Christmas slowdown. And it now goes way more in depth into the writing standards required. So not so much a top-down view, but 3 weeks of referencing, proper grammar, spelling, all that stuff. So a lot more of just actually how to write academically, or to an academic standard. So if you're interested, let me know. I've asked a couple of you.